What did the most drunk person say or do last night at your party? We asked our friend how drunk he was. He responded, twice. Drunk buddy tried to shoot a firework holding it in his mouth. He tightened it too hard. The firework never flew and exploded right on top of him. He ended up with the face completely black from the powder and some small burns on his face. 2 policemen were next to us when this happened. They told him it was the most stupid things that they had seen this year. And yes, we were still in 2016. Coming home from the party last night, we stopped for pizza. The super drunk guy in front of us told us he paid for our pizza. He made a big deal out of it, but then fumbled the machine and almost forgot his card and dropped his pizza box on the floor. We asked the cashier if he had actually paid for our pizza, and she double checked and said he didn't even pay for his own pizza. We paid for his pizza. A friend of mine was extremely drunk and saw this guy walking his dog. My friend started petting the dog, and when the owner asked him to stop, he started petting the man instead. I yelled Merry Christmas instead of Happy New Year. I live in Texas and have a friend who moved here from Scotland a few years ago. Ever since she moved here, she consistently has faked an American accent to fit in. Last night she got so drunk she forgot about her American accent and started calling everyone dirty sluts in the thickest Scottish accent for an hour or so. A guy I'd never met named Tony kept asking all the female party goers if they knew what his name was spelled backwards. Then would slur out why not. My wife thought it was funny and creepy at the same time. My best friend went over to the keg to get some beer. He pumped the keg and proceeded to spray beer all over his phone, which he thought was a cup. I was so stunned I didn't say anything for like 10 seconds, and when I did he looked at me like I was stupid, then looked back at his phone and threw it across the room. I think I might have been that person. I woke up this morning and saw a photo of people stacking boxes on my head. It was impressive how tall it was and that I didn't wake up as a result. Edit. Pic. Somebody ran through a closed door. There were a few singles at my New Year's Eve party. They were joking about just all kissing each other when my buddy offers to kiss all of them. When asked how he's going to accomplish it, he manages to slur out the words "midnight is a whole minute" and "I'm a slut." Stop telling me what to do. I have never died before. A friend who got kicked out of 2 clubs and wanted to keep drinking and partying was on the beach, and this guy couldn't find anywhere to hide his bag, so he just tossed it into the ocean and yelled, "Those duckers can't steal my beer now." Not a party, but I saw a guy peeing in the middle of a busy road, flipping off the cars driving by. It was only about 9 PM at the time. Clapping to the beat of a song. A drunk man from Holland comes up to me and says I have great, powerful claps and we should clap our hands together in the form of a high five. My GF started puking, and between outbursts says, "At least this is all good wine. It doesn't taste so bad coming up." A really drunk guy took the giant bowl of noodle salad and started trying to feed everyone with it. He would walk up to people and put a spoon in their mouth. It was pretty hilarious. He also tried selling his scarf because he owed some guy money, so he would just casually ask everyone if they wanted to buy his scarf. We had a guy who kept walking up to large groups, pulling up his front-facing camera and yelling, "What's up? Snapchat?" Everybody crowded into frame and cheered. He doesn't have Snapchat. Edit. A stray eye. She called her husband a sad fat dragon. He's really not sad or a dragon. My friend started belting out the theme tune to an old British kids show called Poddington Peas. Then he started crying and said, "When I was a kid there was an episode about a ducking pea who was too fat to get out of his house. All the other peas tried to help him, but they couldn't get him out. I remember identifying with that pea. That pea was me." He cheered up once we bought him a kebab. Deleted. 0.5513. More than. Deleted /73,816. Grandpa got very racist towards my black cat. A guy sat in the corner in tears because he didn't want 2013 to end. I work in a casino and this random drunk lady poked me in the butthole last night as I walked by. Kinda made me uncomfortable. My friend told me he will donate my car to Cars for Kids if I vomit. Friend's friend passed out on the couch still wearing his ski gear. Lets out a huge fart waking himself up. He turned to look at his ass, simply asking what, while looking confused. So I spent New Year's Eve at my girlfriend's place. For a little bit of background, her entire family mostly speaks Spanish, capital I, on the other hand, speak next to no Spanish. Anyways, at midnight everyone starts hugging each other, and one of her uncles comes over to me and speaks, in very broken and slurred English, that he doesn't know me, and I don't know him, but that's going to change. That he can see that I make my girlfriend happy, and that makes him happy. That he respects me a lot for spending 8 hours with people when I don't understand at all what they're saying. That I'm now a part of his family. Probably not the type of comment you all were looking for, but it was incredibly touching to me. Edit. A part. Whatever. Didn't expect this to blow up though. So thank you for all of your responses. A ducking love kids bop, as Fetty Wap was playing on the speakers. It was all quiet that night. You could almost hear a pin drop. Some might call our party a bore. However, we enjoy the company of fellow aristocrats. We sat still, quietly sipping our whiskeys and staring intently into the burning fireplace, lost in thought by the sound of crackling wood. Just then, the grandfather clock chimed 12, the witching hour. From the distant corners of our carpeted floors and wooden furniture, we could hear faint fireworks and the screaming of proletariat. At that instant, my buddy George arose from his seat and announced, almost in a whisper, "Happy New Year, fellow brethren." The lot of us were astounded by his outburst. However, we all kept our cool and nodded patronizingly and tipped our whiskey glasses in his direction. I guess that silly drunk little nitwit won't be joining us next year. ER nurse. Guy came in complaining of scrotal pain. Stated he was at home, in his living room, high on coke and quite drunk, sitting on a bicycle when he slipped and caught his marble purse on the sharp pedal. He felt wetness and, assuming it was blood, wrapped his manhood in TP and ran to the ER. He got back to my room and finally found the courage to check the damage himself. Noticed it was just urine and he had peed his pants. Ran straight back out into the night without another word. Happy New Year, Central Ohio. I think I was the drunkest person at the party. And I kissed my ex. Like a ducking moron. Played Hotline Bling on repeat and kept toasting everyone so she can have an excuse to drink. The most drunk person was me. The host got belligerently drunk, forgot who he'd shook hands with, talked to, and spent the rest of the night making rounds shaking everyone's hand at least half a dozen times before passing out. I was DD and my friend had to puke, so we pulled over and he threw up in the street sidewalk. It's a small town, and we were parked for probably 5-10 minutes. I was looking for cops because I wasn't sure of the legality of him throwing up in the street regarding littering or whatever, and small town cops in Delaware can be sort of dish. He was finishing up when a cop rolled by. He drove past us and didn't stop, but he turned around and drove past again. He went down the street and around a corner, so I assumed we were safe. I drove down the street and shortly after the cop rolls up and pulls us over. I'm sober so I'm not too worried, but when he walks up to the car he has a bottle of water in his hand and asks, "Hey, do you guys need this?" looking at my friend slumped over in the back seat. We all laugh and thank him and he lets us go on our way. I know he was doing his due diligence making sure I wasn't drunk, but he was cool as it about the whole thing. Me and my friend made an addition to 10 jars of Everclear concoctions. Spiked gummy worms. At one point someone had tongs to take out the worms from jars and fed it to one of the girls at the party. He said he felt like a mama bird. In my drunken wisdom, I decided I wanted a mama bird too and proceeded to flap my arms like a bird and squawk, and was rewarded with a delicious worm. Cue about 10 people then squawking and flapping their arms in unison as we were being fed spiked gummy worms by a drunk man with tongs. What a time to be alive. Edit. Fixed spelling. Still feeling the Everclear. It was me. I was alone and not drunk but high. I decided the stink bugs flying around my house needed a rest area, so I tricked out a 5-gallon aquarium with fish tank, gravel and decorations I still have around from a now dead fish and put in pieces of fresh fruit and put them all in there to hang out. They all immediately gravitated to the fruit. Happy New Year. Stink bugs. Edited to add a photo. Had a small get together with friends. We were all getting stoned and playing the new VR I got for Christmas. One friend is playing and out of nowhere he starts falling. Once he hits the ground he just lays there and says, "So this is how it ends." I found my friend hiding a statue of a mermaid in the top of a toilet. His reason? It needed to be back in the ocean. My aunt got high and passed out on the living room floor. This lady was much drunker than everyone thought and no one realized until around 12:10 am when her husband tried to get her to leave and she grabbed him by the throat and pushed him down some stairs. He got up, dusted himself off, and calmly walked out the front door. She attempted to sober up in the dining room while someone downloaded Uber to her phone so she could get home. I felt bad for the guy, but secretly I was so happy to see he said F this and bounced completely. My loudest and most obnoxious friend was walking around shirtless, trying to pick up women, while sporting a generous amount of cheese whiz on his nips. Edit, cheese whiz. I went cheering with the police and firemen just after 12 when they were putting out lit fires. Him, can I use the food garage? Me, the what? Him, oh, the oven. Went with a friend to his co-worker's party. By the time the party was settling down his supervisor's girlfriend was all over him and I mean like sitting on his lap, trying to get him to dance, kissing him on his cheek on her way out, etc. Meanwhile his supervisor was right there, kinda drunk, fairly embarrassed. She kept looking over to her boyfriend and saying things like, "It's okay if I dance with him, right? You don't care, right? See, he doesn't care." I felt so bad watching the whole thing unravel in front of my very own eyes. Had to convince my friend not to jump in the pool because he thought this water is 2016 water. I gotta jump before it becomes 2017 water. It wasn't even a pool party. On our way home after the party we got pulled over by a cop for taking too wide of a turn. It was raining pretty hard and our DD wasn't super familiar with the area. This is when the drunk arsehole laying across the backseat starts panicking and screaming, saying he knows we are getting pulled over because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Long story short, cops don't appreciate it when they can tell someone's freaking out in the back of a car they're walking up to. Luckily he was a cool guy, ended up giving our DD a sobriety check and sending us on our way. We apologized for the actions of drunk people but it was pretty late and the cop just seemed glad we had a sober DD. But I don't recommend reaching out through another person's window to try to grab at a cop, even if you're just trying to get out a drunken apology. I work at a bar. I tried to take a spoon back from someone who was leaving, but he wouldn't let me have it. He kept insisting that someone had knighted him with it. "Hope you got home okay, spoon knight." He kept praising the invention of balloons. Shook up an open bottle of champagne and sprayed the ceiling, TV, and the host's girlfriend. Party fell apart shortly after. So one of our favorite things to say when we don't wanna do something is the classic Randy Jackson "yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog." Well, towards the end of the night I was pretty hammered and my friend asks me if I want another shot. Drunkenly I slur out, "It's a dog for me, no." Needless to say we erupted in drunk laughter for the next 5 minutes. Do you think General Mills was a real general? We had a bunch of friends over at our house last night for the New Year's celebration. It was starting to wind down and a group of them were having trouble finding a cab home. So one of them passes out on the couch because the wait had been over 2 hours. Finally, when a cab is hailed, another friend rushes inside to wake up the girl to get her. My GF and I are saying goodbye to everyone at the door. She groggily stumbles over and begins to say goodbye to my GF. "So nice to see you guys. I had a great time. You guys should come over more. Don't worry about the coat. We can meet up tomorrow and figure it all out." "Yeah, no problem, we had a great time too. We'll talk tomorrow." She stands there in a blanket. "Yeah. Hope you guys come again. Again. We'll figure out the coats tomorrow. I'm going back to bed right now." Oh, I start to clue in. "We live here. You're the one leaving." "Oh." So she starts to put on some shoes at the door from the pile. "I don't think those are your shoes. Do you remember what you wore here?" She looks down and stood trying to fit into small shoes. She then moves to a red cup on the floor and sticks her foot in it. At this point I'm dying laughing. "I don't think you wore that either." "Oh, this is embarrassing. I think she walked away with our blanket too." I vomited so hard that I've damaged a load of blood vessels in my face. Also the punch bag at the back of my mouth is swollen from the vomit, so it feels like I have something stuck in my throat. I think I was probably the drunkest person at our party. That would have been me. I was a human Jack in the Box. And when everyone stopped singing the song, I popped out of the box topless. Apparently my tits bounced very nicely. Dude asked a girl out for the evening, kissed her at midnight and told her how happy he was she came out with him. Then extremely drunk him took a different girl one he had just met into the hotel bathroom. Everyone noticed and proceeded to do things with her that entirely pissed off first girl. When he came out of the bathroom, his first action was to hit on another girl, me. Everyone was pissed at drunk dude for the amount of drama he brought to the night. And he wasn't hot at all, just a douche. I told someone I was done drinking for the night because I'm a pussy, and he gave me this real emotional speech about never putting myself down. My buddy somehow found a large martini glass and filled it with 2 beers. Then proceeded to walk around to everyone at the party and say the blood of Christ and made everyone take a sip like communion. The guy isn't even religious, and he later found a plate of crackers for the body of Christ and made another lap around the party. Edit. I found a Snapchat of him executing brew communion. Enjoy. This guy found out that Noah had ever peed out of this dude's bedroom window before and decided he needed to be the first to do so. A 2nd story window. Not this year, but a couple years back. Somehow an infomercial got on the TV with one of those call now before this commercial ends countdown clocks in the corner. Everyone was so drunk that they counted down with the last 10 seconds of the infomercial thinking it was the New Year's countdown. We were all the drunkest people at the party that year. It's not a real blowjob unless she works the balls, my drunk uncle. The most drunk person at my party was my friend's sister, who went missing halfway through the party. That is until everyone got a Snapchat from her in the bathroom, on the toilet, singing the lyrics to All Star by Smash Mouth. This one girl dropped a slice of pizza on the floor. She then proceeded to rinse it off in the sink, and then ate it. Our drunk friend Danny popped an exercise ball by sitting on it, and asked the only black guy at the party if he would come hang out more and be our token black friend. He then invited the guy to his brother's wedding because his brother is marrying a black girl. I ate a 8-piece family bucket of fried chicken and chugged a few beers. While walking home, I vomited in the middle of the sidewalk and basically lay down on top of a bush to recover. Some guy with his lady walked past, and when he saw the scene I just heard him say Jesus duck. Codsworth killed some mutants and I got about 1,000 bottle caps. It was a good party. We all shared what we were thankful for in 2016. This guy said my wife got all her periods. This guy was me. Parents were there. I broke 3 glasses within an hour of each other. Kind of wasn't my fault, but still got forced to drink of a plastic cup for the rest of the night. I threw the lighter away instead of the firecracker. This guy who wasn't invited took all of his clothes off and started smearing his cock on people. When we told him to leave, he put on someone else's clothes, like from a cupboard, and tried to walk out wearing it. She made so many new BFFs and tried to start an orgy. Sent a D-pic to his longtime good friend instead of who he wanted it to go to. One of my buddies came to from a brownout mid-chokehold. He slid and fell in the kitchen somehow and got grabbed by another friend so he'd stay off his ass. Then, not knowing why he's in a chokehold, he proceeds to flail around spilling drinks, chips, and the like. Went to give my girlfriend a cuddle while she was peeing in some bramble bushes and face planted into the wee bush. Impressive cuts on both of them.